Welcome back to Tonight on Breaking. I'm your host, John Iwodi. Here are some of the things that happened this week. It seems that a majority of Nigerians are now gainfully employed. In fact, Nigeria is giving the US a run for its money in terms of the unemployment rate. Towards the end of last week, the National Bureau of Statistics rolled out the latest employment figures. And lo and behold, our dear nation's employment rate has gone from sky-high 33% in 2020 to a bright and shiny 4.1% in 2023. Could someone please check that decimal point? I think it's supposed to be moved over to the right. If this 4.1% number is true, that means that Nigeria has one of the best unemployment rates in the world. Our unemployment rate is better than the UK, which is 4.2%. And we're even outperforming Canada at 5.5%, Germany with 5.6%, and France with 7.2%. Now, before you get excited and stop your plans to japa, the NBS attributes this remarkable drop to a revised calculation method. This method considers people employed if they have a paying job and have worked at least an hour during the past week. Additionally, it includes those who work fewer than 40 hours a week but are available and willing to work. That's right, folks. If you don't have a job but you are willing to work, you're considered employed. Now, if you're not collecting salary and you have no money, you might be confused, but that's your problem because as far as the government of Nigeria is concerned, your availability and willingness to work means that, in theory, you are working. So go ahead and go to your theoretical job, spend your theoretical salary to boost our country's theoretical GDP. And all you people in the 4.1% that are considered actually unemployed, you're just pathetic because you don't even want to work in theory. Do you know how lazy you have to be to not want to work even in your own imagination? Okay, but seriously, if unemployment is now 4.1%, does that mean that our poverty level is also lower? Because more people working means fewer people should be poor, right? And if our poverty level is improving, then why do we need the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development? Should we really be dashing money to people who are not even willing to work in a theoretical world where there are plenty of jobs? And if poverty is down, then why did we take out an $800 million loan to help pushing the effects of fuel subsidy removal? That means that we don't really need that money and we can return it, right? You know what? I actually have to give credit to this administration. They are like Tinkerbell sprinkling fairy dust over all of our problems. All we have to do is believe we can fly and we will fly. All this time, we just didn't believe hard enough. In other news, the newly appointed Minister of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, is in the hot seat. Over the past week, Hannatu Musawa attracted widespread attention on social media due to accusations that she was simultaneously serving as a minister while also participating in the mandatory one-year National Youth Service Corps scheme. According to Eddie Megwa, the Director of Press and Public Relations of the NYSC, Hannatu was originally mobilized in 2001 for the youth service in Ebonyi State, where she completed her orientation program but later relocated to Kaduna State to continue the program. While in Kaduna, Hannatu pulled off a disappearing act. As you all know, the NYSC Act mandates that all Nigerians who graduate from a university in Nigeria or abroad must undergo the program for a duration of 12 months. The act also prohibits employers from offering any corps member a permanent position until the one-year service is completed. Which begs the question, what happens if you do not graduate from university? Does that mean you do not have to go through NYSC and that all those senators and House of Reps who only have a secondary school leaving certificate are exempt? So the reward for going to university is that you have to serve your country. Why the reward for not going to university is what? That you become president? Okay, people. Either Hannatu should not be serving as a minister without an NYSC certificate, or we should admit once and for all that the NYSC certificate is really kind of pointless. While one newly appointed minister is on the hot seat facing scrutiny, another minister took to the center of attention to say that he's tired of being the center of attention. Over the weekend, Nyesom Wike, star of the Real Ministers of Abuja, imposed a ban on lampposts, billboards, large billboards, and similar advertisements congratulating him as a minister. According to a statement from Wike's press director, the minister appreciates the sentiment and expresses gratitude for the warm wishes and support from the public. But right now, he wants to focus on his work with Mr. President. Apparently, the minister is easily distracted by his own image, or maybe the minister doesn't want us to know who his supporters are. Could that be PDP, APC, NMPP, Labour Party? Only Wike knows. In other news, NEMA wants you to brace yourself because there's a flood disaster approaching. Earlier this week, states situated along the banks of River Benue, including Adamawa, Taraba, Benue, Niger, Nasarawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Edo, Delta, Anambra, Cross Rivers, and Bayelsa states were placed on red alert due to the imminent threat of flooding. The National Emergency Management Agency issued this alert after receiving a notification from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that Cameroon plans to release water from the Lagdo Dam. For those unfamiliar, the Lagdo Dam is a reservoir located in the northern province of Cameroon. This dam is connected to numerous rivers in Nigeria, including the River Benue. In recent years, Cameroonian authorities have occasionally opened the overflow spillways of the dam to relieve pressure caused by rising water levels. Whenever the Lagdo Dam is open, it often leads to massive floods in several states along the River Benue, resulting in loss of lives and property damage. This has happened multiple times, and yet we always seem unprepared. It happened last year, just like it's happening again this year, around the same time period. I'm sorry, if something happens over and over and over again around the same time, doesn't that mean you can actually plan for it? I mean, how many times does something have to happen before we learn lessons and try to stop it?
This is the moment a group of senior Gabonese military officers appeared on national television and announced they had seized power.
That's all for tonight on Breaking. I'm Iwodi. Have a nice weekend and let's do this again next week.